Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today I want to talk to you about how we let the things that bother us sometimes take center stage. And it's not that we plan on it, it's just sometimes we could feel overwhelmed. We had a plan the way we thought life would be, or the way a trip would be. And when things don't work out, it makes us feel unhappy and disappointed, but sometimes it also makes us feel not safe because we believe that we need certain things in our lives to ultimately be okay. For me, I was in my apartment for 3.5 months in New York City, and I was so looking forward to leaving to take a trip to see my sister on Long Island. So my 2 daughters and I arrived at my sister's last week, and I had such big plans. I couldn't wait to take walks whenever I wanted to see the sky, to have some time on the water. It felt like it was going to be so perfect. And I think with the pandemic going on, I had this belief that if I could just get outside the city and go to Long Island, everything is going to feel good and okay. And the first couple of days here were so uncomfortable. And although I feel blessed and I feel grateful, the place we're staying is very tiny. There's not a lot of air circulation. And I got so many mosquito bites the first 2 days. And I'm watching myself trying to hang on to this feeling of happiness and bliss. And then I found myself laying in bed, so uncomfortable, so hot, trying to go to sleep with all these mosquito bites. And then the story just flipped on me. And the story became, why am I here? I'm so uncomfortable. I have so many bites. This feels so wrong. And my discomfort took over everything. And I was fighting it. And that's what happens when we feel uncomfortable or something doesn't feel right. We argue with it. And after a few hours of complaining and being hot and itching, I realized that I had just gotten lost in my experience. And also I felt disappointed and things looked nothing like I thought they were going to be. But in reality, the situation didn't steal my peace. I stole my peace. And as I recognized that I gave my peace away, I started to relax. And I started to breathe deeply. And I started to breathe into every mosquito bite that I had on my leg. And I started to breathe into the heat and breathe into that feeling that there wasn't a lot of space. And as my body started to relax, some of my peace came back. And I felt more spacious within myself. And that's what happens when we feel uncomfortable, when we feel disappointed. We constrict. And there's no space for breath. There's no space between the things that bother us. And there's no space for our peace and for all the beautiful things that surround us. And this is especially important during this pandemic because it's so easy to get lost in something that bothers us. We can't go to work. Our children might be unhappy. We have more financial stress. We can't go out to a restaurant. We can't just relax. We have to wear a mask. If we let one of these thoughts overwhelm us, it's very easy to shut down, to feel sad, depressed, anxious. And then we can't see the fact that it could be sunny out, or we can't see the fact that we have some beautiful friends, or we have our health. It's that one thing that bothers us takes center stage, and then it starts to suffocate us. And deep down, the reason why things overwhelm us is that they make us feel not safe. They make us feel not okay. They're so disruptive. And again, it's always okay to feel how you feel, but it's also important to look at it, to examine it, and to also breathe into it and try, even during the experience, to relax your body so you could process what's going on and let more breath and more room in for all the other things in your life. And I have been doing this constantly over the past week. And I guess when I've been out on Long Island, the things that have bothered me haven't been huge, but I watched them steal my peace. We even got locked out of our bathroom and our air conditioning went out. They're just little things, but they cause disruptions. You can't use the bathroom. It gets more hot in the cabin. And these are easy things that you can overcome. But as you practice these little disruptions, you become more prepared for bigger ones. And if you think about how often you're arguing with a problem, you're over-focused on a problem, and how it becomes your life, and there's no room for the other things that exist. And I know it might sound counterintuitive, but when we got locked out of the bathroom, I relaxed my body. And I thought to myself, do I want to give my peace to this? And I went into this idea of maybe. So the minute we got locked out, I said, maybe everything's going to be okay. Maybe we'll figure it out. And I just relaxed. And it's not that I didn't have the problem. And again, these aren't the biggest problems in the world. I'm just using them as examples. But relaxing my body and being in maybe helped me hold my peace and not get overly stressed. And the same thing with the air conditioning. Although it was really hot, I kept staying in maybe. Yes, I did have the thought that if this air conditioning is broken, I'm leaving and going back to the city. But I stayed in maybe, and I was patient, and I waited, and I kept trying to figure things out. And it turns out the air conditioner filter was dirty, and there was ice in the air conditioning unit, and within 2 hours we had air conditioning again. So it's just a process when the surprising thing happens, when the unexpected thing happens. You might feel yourself getting tense, disappointed, unhappy. That's okay, but just relax your body. Take a deep breath and relax. You're not going against the emotion, you're just relaxing the body. And remember the maybe. Remember that everything changes. What's ever going on has the possibility for it to be different. And sometimes I'll just go to maybe everything's okay. Maybe everything will get better. And if it's a really difficult situation, I go through the entire exercise where I ask myself, what's my biggest fear? What's my problem? I list all the possible outcomes that are upsetting me. And then I ask myself, am I absolutely certain that this fear or thought is true? And you cannot know the future. You cannot know what's going to happen next. And that's good, because that means there's hope and possibility that things will change. So again, I know that I gave examples today of a locked bathroom door and a broken air conditioning unit and a bunch of mosquito bites. And I know we're all dealing with job losses and being financially stressed and issues with our children, but it's the same process. Because if we let one fear or one unexpected event take center stage and overwhelm us, we're not going to enjoy the good things that are happening in our lives, and we're more likely to get stuck in a problem instead of solving it. And it's such an important time not to get stuck in one thought and one idea and one way that things have to be for us to be okay. Because if we do, then the fear and the worry and the stress are going to own us, and then life's going to change, and we're not even going to be well enough or strong enough to show up when all those possibilities come rolling in. So I just want to repeat this exercise one more time. If you're stressed at work, if you have a situation with your child, if they're unhappy or they're overwhelmed with a pandemic, the minute you start to feel uptight, the minute you start to feel overly worried, stressed, and this problem is the only thing that you could think about, remember to take a deep breath and relax your body. Allow the feeling, allow the thought, but relax your body. And as you relax, there will be more space around this problem. And then remind yourself about the maybe. You could do the full exercise, or you could just use the maybe mantras or something to just remind you that you're not stuck, that everything changes. And as you do this and there's more space, you will feel more possibilities from the maybe statements. You'll be able to think about the good things that are going on, and then you'll be able to ask yourself, do I want to give my peace to this? How can I stay peaceful, centered, calm, and deal with what's in front of me? I have one more week out on Long Island, and I've been doing this practice every day, and it amazes me how many little tiny things take our peace every minute. We don't see that this continuously relaxing and letting go and breathing and allowing and choosing peace is really the recipe for us to expand and to grow and to really find new possibilities in our lives. We get so rigid and stuck and fixated on the things that we don't like that we end up living with them instead of expanding and creating new possibilities, things that would bring us joy and hope and happiness. And it doesn't mean that if you take this approach, there aren't going to be upsetting things or sad things. That's a part of life. But it's also important that we're always welcoming in the sun and the opportunities and the light and all that's good in the world. And as you face each day with all the new experiences and all the uncertainty, try to remember my favorite maybe statement. Maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.